Tonight on our news, the Ministry of Education announcing the formation of a national commission to review the Bahamas high school diploma. Plus, good news for Grand Bahama. The Ministry of Health says a new hospital is on the way. And the singing bishop and charitable organizations making a difference in the lives of many attending a summer camp. Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Some good news for Grand Bahama as the Ministry of Health is announcing plans are progressing for a new hospital on that island. The health minister confirming ground will soon be broken for a new facility. Italia Hall reports.
Health Minister Dr. Michael Darville insisting that the Davis administration is committed to building a new state-of-the-art hospital in Grand Bahama. He says a geotechnical study for the land they are eyeing is complete.
I spoke with the geologists. It's high ground. It's a good selection of land. It's about maybe a little over 30 acres. We have been working very aggressively with our healthcare planners.
The health minister stating that the government has the money for the construction of the facility.
I want to say to the residents of Grand Bahama, in front of the witnesses from the Ministry of Health and our volunteers, that we will build a state-of-the-art hospital here in Grand Bahama, and I'm going to break ground on it very soon. I say that right in front of the camera. I'm that bold. You know, you're going to hold me to this word, and I don't say it lightly unless I have substance behind what I'm speaking.
Dr. Darville says he also visited several clinics on Thursday and had an opportunity to look at the repairs that are needed.
And Grand Bahama, you can rest assured that in our aggressive healthcare infrastructural upgrades, that we will do what we're supposed to do to improve the quality of healthcare delivery systems here on the island.
Reporting for our news, I'm Italia Hall.
In less than 24 hours, the first shipment of pediatric COVID-19 vaccines will arrive in country. Earlier this month, Health Minister Dr. Michael Darville indicated the Bahamas would get about 24,000 pediatric doses of the Pfizer vaccine. Dr. Darville says, like other COVID-19 vaccines, the pediatric vaccine is not mandatory.
This vaccine is completely voluntary for our children and for us who want our children to have the vaccine. We're not pushing this down anyone's throat. For those who want it, it is our responsibility of the government to bring it. And we intend to start vaccinating our pediatric children, or pediatric doses, I think the following Monday.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Education, Technical and Vocational Training Thursday announcing the formation of a national commission to review the Bahamas high school diploma. Education officials say the goal is to ensure students are better prepared to enter the workforce and society. Our Jamila Missick fills us in.
The Bahamas High School Diploma implemented back in 2014 with the objective of having students exit high school meeting satisfactory standards. And today the Ministry of Education announcing a commission to review that program.
The National Commission includes public and private stakeholders, governmental and civil society representatives, and former educators. Director of Education Marcellus Taylor says they're pleased the review process is underway.
We have had about 5 or 6 groups graduating, and at this point we have an understanding of how the diploma works, the strengths of the diploma, the weaknesses of the diploma, the areas of concern that people may have.
Minister of Education, Technical and Vocational Training Glenys Hannah Martin explains the Commission's responsibilities.
This Commission will be tasked with reviewing the objects and purpose of the high school diploma, studying its core criteria, and analyzing the impacts of these criteria in total or singularly, and to determine whether the objects and purposes are in fact being achieved.
Hannah Martin says if deemed necessary, the commission will submit its recommendations to the Ministry for Reform. However, she says it is not an exercise to compromise standards.
The underlying purpose of this commission is to ensure that the prevailing criteria maintains relevancy and are an accurate reflection of student attainment in light of progressive trends and evolving strategies in education, and in consideration of educational research and policy to ensure that our high school diploma reflects true attainment of the students.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jamila Missick.
Minister of Education Glenys Hannah Martin says despite learning loss brought on by the pandemic and the inability for students to complete certain criteria, the core criteria for graduation remains.
A committee was in-house, a committee of stakeholders, which include former educators, was appointed to review the criteria, and some modifications were made, but basically the criteria is intact. We're not authorized to just go and change the criteria. That is why this commission is taking place, so it's transparent, considered, and that we are able to make adjustments as are deemed appropriate.
The minister also addressing the issue of learning loss.
There is an RFP process underway. It's been underway now for a couple of months. Some firms have been shortlisted, and those firms will be the singular group for the RFP. And we are anticipating that by October, we're going to substantively test students and to measure learning loss and also to develop acceleration programs. But as we speak, programs are going on.
Well, President of the Bahamas Union of Teachers, Belinda Wilson, giving the government 7 days to sign off on an outstanding industrial agreement with the BUT. Wilson says they've been at the bargaining table since 2019, adding she's also in constant communication with the lead negotiator for the government.
I believe that we have exhausted the time. We have exchanged counter proposals 8 times. We have been in hundreds of hours of meetings, and we are now ready to sign off on a full proposal so that teachers can receive the much needed salary increases and benefits that they are so worthy of. Barring that, well, we know that we have several options, and when the time arises, we will execute our options.
Temperatures still in the mid-80s tonight. Here's Greg Thompson with our first look at weather.
Thanks, Christine, and welcome everybody for our first look at weather on this final day of the work week. A warm evening outside our studios once again. 85 degrees is our current temperature under partly cloudy skies. Still have a bit of a breeze out there, southeasterly wind flow at 12 miles per hour, and your feels like temperature very warm, 93 degrees on the outside. Satellite view, ridge of high pressure at the surface continuing to dominate our weather. We do have some isolated showers and thunderstorms across the northwest Bahamas. That's all due to some low-level convergence as well as a mid to upper level disturbance that's moving towards the west. Also, you notice down in the southeast Bahamas, patchy clouds, well, a big blow-up of some thunderstorms really. That's associated with a tropical wave, the northern extent of that extends across Hispaniola and eastern Cuba. All of this will be moving towards west over the night and through tomorrow. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on our news, fire destroys the home of a former MP on Long Island. Experts say 95% of Exuma's fuel spill has been cleaned up. Plus, some ill-fated robbers plead guilty after being stuck in a freezer. That's coming up when our news returns. Island Member of Parliament Larry Cartwright lost his home today after a blaze tore through the family home. According to police reports, the 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom wooden structure in Grays, Long Island was completely destroyed. Police say they received a call around 8:10 a.m. about the blaze, and the fire was extinguished shortly after 1 p.m. using an 800-gallon water tank, pump, and hose system. Police say they were able to contain the fire and no other homes were impacted. There were no reported injuries, and our news understands Cartwright and his wife are doing well despite the unfortunate ordeal. In other news, authorities now say it was 36,000 gallons of diesel that spilled in an Exuma Bay on Wednesday. Director of Environmental Planning and Protection, Dr. Rihanna Neely Murphy, says the cleanup should be completed this evening and they will now begin remediation. Bethany McDermott reports.
Director of Environmental Planning and Protection, Dr. Rihanna Neely Murphy says as of Thursday evening, 95% of the oil that spilled into the bay on Wednesday was cleaned up.
Work continued from that time until about 8 p.m. last night, where the diesel on the site was considered to be about 95% removed, and removal activities continue this morning.
She provided this video at the OPM press briefing this morning, revealing that the fuel appears to be completely gone. But there is still more to be done, including removing diesel that was found in the sand, saying that will have to be removed. Neely Murphy adding that they're now moving into the remediation phase of the project, and the beach will remain closed for the next 2 months.
It's not back to normal, but progress is being made, and the beach is going to remain closed until August 10th, where we would conduct another assessment to determine whether or not it is safe for the public's use. This is now the beginning. We're getting into the beginning of the remediation work and the monitoring work, which we expect to continue for a few months into a year.
According to the Environmental Planning and Protection Director, BPL was expecting 115,000 gallons of diesel fuel. They received 79,000 gallons of fuel, leaving 36,000 gallons unaccounted for. In a statement following the incident, Sun Oil Limited said the crew deployed absorbent pads and containment buoys near the shoreline at sunrise. On Thursday, Deputy Prime Minister and Area MP Chester Cooper said penalties are being assessed, adding that he believes there should be penalties if there is negligence. Reporting for Our News, I'm Bethany McDermott.
In news from the courts, an armed robbery took an embarrassing turn when the culprits found themselves trapped inside a store's freezer. 24-year-old Tico Moss and 26-year-old Javon Roll pleaded guilty to armed robbery today and were sentenced to 3 years in prison as part of a plea bargain. On December 31st, 2017, the men went into Hurry Hurry Meat Mart and robbed the cashier of $410 at gunpoint. But before they could flee with the money, the store owner, who was armed with a shotgun, confronted them. The terrified duo sought cover in the freezer and remained there until police arrived. The officers recovered the money and a fake gun. When Our News comes back from the break, a summer camp is making a difference with several charities offering support. Plus, Alive is on that same tip. The company is also sponsoring a summer camp, and a second look at weather is straight ahead. The details when Our News returns. This is Our News. Welcome back. The Evidence Amendment Bill 2022 was debated in the Senate this week. In the case of people who go missing during circumstances of peril, the bill will allow for the presumption of death at the 2-year mark rather than 7. Attorney General Ryan Pinder says they used regional benchmarks to determine circumstances of peril and the 2-year time frame. While the bill allows for the court to determine a circumstance of peril, it specifically states that a hurricane is to be considered. Opposition Senator Darren Henfield, who represented the North Abaco constituency during the time of Hurricane Dorian, commending the government for the move.
We did not go ahead and prescribe specific circumstances of peril for a reason, Madam President, because you cannot do so and be all-encompassing of any and every event apparel. For example, if you omit on a list of what an event apparel is included to be, an event apparel, then arguably the section would not apply in those circumstances, potentially excluding Bahamians from the framework that they were intended to be included in. Madam President, there may also be a question raised about why we chose 2 years.
Ironically, we're now approaching the 3rd-year anniversary of Hurricane Dorian. The amendment we make today will change the period of the presumption of debt in the perilous circumstances to 2 years, and this is good. I'm not going to quiver over whether or not it should have been less time. It's a move in the right direction. In the immediate aftermath of Dorian, we were left with around $3.4 billion in damages, 55 unidentified bodies, and an unknown number of actual missing victims in Abaco. Shortly thereafter, we were advised that the official death toll was reported to be 70, and some 282 persons were declared missing.
Shifting gears now, more than 50 students taking part in a summer camp in the Elizabeth constituency sponsored by Alive. The camp brings children from Elizabeth Estates and Yamacraw together. Alive Senior Director of Commercial, Amber Carey, explains this is just one of many summer initiatives.
This is just one of several initiatives we've sponsored for the summer, and as we go into the back-to-school season, we're going to be sponsoring some more. And you know, we're just always so proud to work within the communities. You know, this right here is the generation of the future, and we couldn't be more proud to work with the Minister of State and this community on ensuring that these kids had something to do during the summer.
The summer camp includes activities, lunch, and supplies for the camp. Camp coordinator Corrington Burrows says it's important to keep the children active, while Yamacraw MP Zane Lightbourne stresses the importance of partnerships like these.
More meaningful than summertime itself is the overall interaction with these kids, just social interaction and dealing with, you know, positive individuals.
I just wanted to highlight the importance of corporate sponsorship in our activities, and particularly in Yamacraw, Alive has been a friend, and we certainly honor and appreciate their participation, their involvement and partnership.
Still ahead on our news tonight, many charities come together to make a difference at a summer camp. And a second look at weather is straight ahead. That's coming up when our news returns. Welcome back to our news. Here's Greg from the Weather Center with a second look at weather so you can plan your weekend just right.
Thanks again, Christine, and welcome back everybody for our final look at weather on this, well, warm work week. Today being Friday, the end of the week. Temperatures very warm for the entire week, and those temperatures continue to stay in that high temperature range. Ridge of high pressure at the surface dominating our weather. That's going to continue with us for at least another couple of days. Some Saharan dust will be filtering in across our area as well. Across the northwest Bahamas, some low-level convergence as well as a disturbance in the upper level, helping to trigger some showers and thunderstorms across that area. But down here, Hispaniola and the eastern portion of Turks, that's Cuba, eastern Cuba actually. Tropical wave, the northern extent of that moving towards the west, triggering some showers across the Turks and Caicos Islands. You guys saw some of that activity today. We will continue to watch this and monitor this. That Saharan dust is going to suppress any development of anything out there. The rest of the tropics remaining quiet. You notice the Atlantic Ocean is really clear, and that's all courtesy of some Saharan dust. Boating conditions around the islands tonight to tomorrow. Those winds are picking up. Small craft caution in effect. Those winds will be out of the east to southeast at 15 to 20 knots. They will be gusting higher across the central and southeast Bahamas. Your seas will be running 4 to 7 feet over the ocean. Low tide will be at 10:50 tonight. Here's a look now at your national forecast. In your 7-day forecast, isolated showers and thunderstorms will be in the forecast. Of course, that tropical wave will get somewhere near our location, the northern Bahamas, by the end of the weekend. So we have a bump up in some showers. But by next week, we expect some Saharan dust to be moving in. Hot temperatures expected once again, and those feels-like temperature in the triple digits. That's a look at our weather. Make it a safe weekend, everybody.
Feeding the 5,000 Network is partnering with members of the community, business owners, and of course, the Singing Bishop to make a difference in the lives of 91 young people at their summer camp. Our Megan Shepard has the story.
Aisha Noel Smith is the president and founder of Feeding the 5,000 Network. She says she doesn't just like kids, she loves them. Noel Smith and other like-minded professionals in the community came together to host FLOW, the Future Leaders of Worth summer camp.
We give them 2 hot meals a day and just bring them in an environment where they could not only have fun, but they could also learn and address some of the academic challenges that they would have faced since the onset of COVID-19.
She says they also wanted to instill the principles of giving back, which is why they'll be hosting a community service carnival, donating toys for the carnival, Bishop Lawrence Roll. Recalling his own childhood, he says children today are truly blessed with luxuries.
When my mind rolled back, some of the privilege that a lot of these children have right now, I never had it. Amen. I could remember I wanted to be a police, but I had to leave school from age 14, and I had to work hard. I had to struggle. Oh my God. So these children today have it very good. These, for the things that donating through Mr. Kyle and his partners, we never had that opportunity. My opportunity in those days was broken one little, what you call it, stick and shaping off some of the leaf and looks like a goose.
Campers Alicia Smith and Trevor Smith say they are looking forward to the community service carnival.
My favorite parts are learning. My teacher is very fun. She is very expressive, and that's why I love summer camp.
And are you looking forward to the carnival tomorrow? Tell me why.
Yes, Mom. I'm looking forward to tomorrow because we'll be going out in the community and serving the people who really need it the most.
The camp wraps up on August 5th with a grand celebration for the students. Reporting for Our News, I'm Megan Shepard.
Thanks, Megan, and thank you for joining us for Our News tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.